Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior. How are you doing?
Good morning. All is well. How are we?
Very well. No complaints from me, none whatsoever.
Any developments on the Rumpus front? I believe that they've kicked him into touch. I've been told that they don't consider him to be their leader or whatever, words to that effect. It seems that Philip has taken on the handle instead, and I believe that he's going to be dealing with us from now on because the Rumpus has been sacked.
Oh, right. Is that so?
Yeah.
Don't blame him. I'd sack him too.
Philip contacted me on Skype last night and he asked me for the copy of the, not the video that was played in your Hangout, but not, he wanted to see the original version of it, not the one that was played through the Hangout. So I uploaded the version of it and I sent it to him. And I asked him a couple of questions because for those that, do you want to nip to the loo? Because if you want to nip the loo, go now. But there was a couple of people that there was a couple of predictions that he made which were not relevant to the one that I asked him to. He asked if, or he predicted that there would be no inferior mirage, and he predicted that there would be a compression at the horizon. Well, he got the no inferior mirage bit wrong. There was like 2 or 3 horizons, so there was a massive inferior mirage. He couldn't have been more wrong if he tried. Now, thankfully, that's a black and white point. It's literally he was wrong. Evidently, he was wrong. So this nonsense that he claims that he's been 100% right of all of his claims is nonsense. It's just not true. So we did get that prediction wrong, right? But the other prediction that he made, the secondary prediction, was that it would appear to be squashed. Now, I don't see how that's consistent with a sphere Earth. And it's a genuine question. If anybody knows how or why that would be considered to be consistent with a sphere Earth, let me know, because obviously on a flat plane, the closer something gets to the horizon, coupled with the acute angle to the hypotenuse to the horizon, so rather the perpendicular to the horizon, from obviously the horizon to vertical. So if we're horizontal to it, the closer you get to that 90-degree point to the horizon, the more it's going to compress. So you're going to get convergence and compression on a flat Earth because of them 2 reasons. But I don't know what the ball Earth model is. I don't know how it would be explained. And it's got to the point now where I just can't see the ball Earth arguments anymore. I don't know if it's because I'm being clouded so much by how flat it is, or whether it becomes nonsensical to be able to argue otherwise. So perhaps I'm detraining myself onto the heliocentric model somewhat. But ultimately, he made 2 predictions. One was wrong. There would be no inferior mirage, completely wrong. But the other one was he predicted a compression at the horizon, consistent with a flat Earth. But I don't understand how that would be possible for a prediction on a ball Earth. So I'd need somebody to explain where he's got that from, because I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can get a compression at the horizon on a ball Earth. If anybody knows how that works, join. Let's have a chat. For me, it makes no sense on a plane, on a ball. It only makes sense on a plane. But who knows? Maybe I'm just a full-on retard and don't understand anything. But if there's anybody out there that understands the point he makes, and where that model would come from, join. And Philip, if you're out there, I'll send you a link. Perhaps you could join. I think Nathan's at the loo.
No, I'm still here.
Do you understand where that would come from?
What, the idea that it should be compressed?
Yeah, he made two predictions. One was black and white wrong, and the other one was that it should be compressed. And I'm like, how could that be on a ball? The only way that works is on a plane, compression and convergence, right? But how else would it work on a how? What's the argument for why he would predict that on a ball? For me, he's doing one of two things. He's either got some logical explanation for it, or he's predicting a flat Earth prediction, but claiming it's a ball Earth prediction. And if that's the case, then he'd have a reason for it. But I don't see how there is a ball Earth prediction for that point.
No, me neither.
So it's not just me then. Okay,
No.
that makes me feel better.
Well, you're supposed to be seeing stuff that's disappeared by obstruction, according to their model, their pseudoscience model of what they believe the Earth looks like. As things get further away from you, they are obscured by more and more Earth curve. So having things compress is not at all in line with what they suggest should happen on a ball.
I agree. I don't understand how it could be compressed on a ball, because if it's supposed to be tipping away from you, I mean, don't forget we're looking at like 300 feet worth of land there. Those ray traces would be going like varying by 300, at least 300 feet on a ball Earth. But it's supposed to be behind the curve. I mean, I don't understand how the maths would even work, because you've got to allow for the bendy light nonsense, but you've also got to allow for the density variation that influences the refraction index. But it has to influence the refraction index at a very specific point, a very, very specific point. And it doesn't seem plausible to think that that happens every single time when it happens to look flat. Yeah, you might get it 1 in 1,000 times, but it always seems to look flat. But the maths always seems to work out. So there's just enough refraction just to make it look flat. Never inverts the other way and makes it look concave. It just confuses me where that prediction would come from. But I've sent him a message, a link join, to see if he can join. So who knows? Just having a little bit of Globe East pie. It's got a special flavour, this. It's called cheese and the rumpus.
Very good.
So what do you know? Have you seen any decent responses other than ad hom attacks for any of the work?
Not really. I mean, I mentioned this on a couple of shows ago about that Martini guy, the car guy that I like, that got in touch on one of the comments. And what he was saying was that when he was at school, this was in his comment, he sent up, or the school sent up, a camera on a balloon. And the words he used were, "Look pretty curvy to me." And my response was, well, for every camera that you've got that you send up with a fisheye or a wide-angle lens on it, there's another camera that goes up without one that you can see it being perfectly flat. But either way, I wouldn't actually take that as proof of either thing. It's not demonstrable. It's not your information. Even if you've sent up the camera, it's a third-party point of view in the respect that you're not on that balloon with that camera. So I never have really taken balloon evidence as footage of anything. I know a lot of flat earthers do, but I wouldn't. I think it's more important to point out that there isn't any scientific evidence for the belief system that they have. And there isn't. They all claim that the whole body of science is behind this assertion that they've had for 2,000 years. But where is it? Where is the scientific evidence? And the answer to that is simple. There isn't any. That's why we end up debating about modern, current, up-to-date observations. That's what we debate about, because there's no scientific evidence for the sphere. None.
I've literally just had a message off Philip, and I'll read it verbatim. Quote, "I'm going to have a hangout with the rumpus, and we're going to explain all of the details of that, what we have been doing. I stand by my assertion that there is no inferior mirage in the footage." I don't know how you could argue that, Phil. I mean, there's clearly an inferior mirage. Unless you've got a special scientific definition that only you understands for what an inferior mirage is, there is clearly a reflection underneath the horizon that is satisfying the definition for an inferior mirage. Pointed it out in the video, put 3 big arrows on it. I don't see how you can stand by that position. I've tried to explain it in the comments, but will provide evidence that it's not an inferior mirage in the hangout using your footage. Right, so that's what we'll have to present again, Nath, because this is nonsense. As for the compression, it's actually quite simple to make this prediction. It was based on the weather conditions that day. It's a bit involved to explain here, so I will not try, but we will explain it during a hangout. That must be a link to Nathan's show. Unfortunately, as it's the end of the semester, I'm pretty busy with grading students' work and we're not able to make it. That's okay. So the only thing that he says there is that there's no inferior mirage, right? So I don't think we need a definition of what an inferior mirage is, Nath. Would you agree? We both understand what an inferior mirage is.
Yep.
The question becomes, are we seeing an inferior mirage here or not? So, I don't understand how Philip can argue that this is not an inferior mirage. So I'm going to share my screen, which would be, I think... Why is it not doing that? See, oh, I know why. It's because it's in that program. Let's do it. It doesn't like presenting it if I don't use VLC. Right, so WoW 2, open with VLC Media Play. I think what I'll do actually is I'll change the file association so that it always opens with that. That's better. All right, let's make that a bit smaller. Ah. Okay, so let's try screen share. Application window, VLC, share that. Are we up?
Yes, you are.
Right, so the question we're asking, because Phil doesn't, he stands back and he's reasserted this point, so he's doubling down on it. And I mean, I don't want to get personal with the guy because he's clearly not stupid, right? He's a PhD physicist, right? He says, I stand by my assertion that there is no inferior mirage in your footage. I've tried to explain it in the comments, but will provide evidence that it is not an inferior mirage in the hangout using your footage. So if this is not an inferior mirage, Nath, what is he on about? If you put yourself in his shoes, how could he argue that this is not an inferior mirage?
I've no idea. He'd have to do that himself.
It's clearly a mirage, and it's clearly below the horizon.
But do we care? Do we really care? They didn't predict the observation as requested. It was laid out. You gave them as many things as you possibly could, shy of actually telling them exactly, shy of actually showing them and telling them what day it was taken, what time of the day it was taken. So beyond that, there's been a failure to make any predictions. The test was of the predictive capabilities of the model. Phil saying I can model it after the fact. So what?
It's not even the modelling element I'm interested in. I'm wondering why a PhD physicist would argue that we're not seeing an inferior mirage here when it's obviously the case that we are. So let's suggest the alternatives, right? Is it a Fata Brumosa? No. Is it a Fata Morgana? No. Is it a superior mirage? No. I don't see what other options there are other than an inferior. So I'm Phil, what are you thinking about, dude? There is no way that could not be described as an inferior mirage. So I don't understand where you're coming from, but perhaps I've got it wrong. But it's a shame you can't join. But I'm glad I've got your words saying that you stand by your position it's an inferior mirage, because I'd really like to see that. And I mean, I know it's going to be with the Rumpus on whatever channel, but we'll probably never get to see it until 2 or 3 days after it's happened. So if you'd let me know, if anybody sees this hangout. Oh, by the way, the Rumpus also said prior to the release of the video that he would have a private hangout with somebody, and then once I released it, then he would let it go. Apparently that didn't happen. There was no hangout. There was no private hangout. So it looks like he simply trolled us for the sake of trolling us and has no way of explaining this nonsense whatsoever other than the Earth's flat, and he has no way to explain it. It is a failure.
You said yesterday that somebody had tipped you off that never happened, though.
Yeah, it's not happened. They never had the hangout. Or if they did, they didn't keep their side of the bargain. But as far as I understand it, they didn't even have it. So make of that what you will, but it's another failure. It's a failure not only to predict, but it's a failure to counter. Because the argument was, well, Riley's not releasing his info, so I need that first, so we'll release ours afterwards. Or at the same time, and that didn't even happen either. So are these ballers being like, are they just trolling us? And the best thing is, of course, as the weathering proves, I mean, we're going back over the weekend for a couple of days, 3 or 4 days. I don't know how long we're going for. She sorted it out, but we're going back for a few days. And guess what? The weather's going to be better. So if we can get it in the beginning part of the spring period where it wasn't particularly great conditions, it's going to keep happening over and over again. And now that I know that it's there, guess what I'm going to do for the whole time that I'm there? So,
is that rhetorical?
It appears that we're definitely at checkmate with the ballers at the moment.
Indeed.
That globy pie then was fit.
Say again?
It was globy pie. It wasn't quiche, it was globy pie with a sprinkling of the rumpus on the top. Do you want to put the link public, Nathan? I'll open up the back chat.
Yeah, sure.
I find it interesting that a PhD level scientist or PhD level physicist claims that there's no inferior mirage there when there is a clear evidence of an inferior mirage. If he's not going to call that an inferior mirage, short of recreating his own science, I don't get how we can do it. He's going to have to rewrite science, in my opinion, as far as I can see.
Why change a habit in a lifetime?
So we're ready for the troll attack. So all the trolls, or the troll, however many there are today, if you could join, just so we can kick you, we can sort it. Do you know, I haven't even got chat open. It's going to be interesting to see how Philip explains the lack of an inferior mirage. I'm really looking forward to that because it's kind of an important part of their model that they can have things to be explained. And if we see evidence of an inferior mirage, unless we're getting it wrong somehow, they need to explain that.
Probably best not to dwell on it. Maybe I'll make an appearance. We shall see.
Oh, there we go. Slice Arcane. Why did you block someone on Skype when they called you a liar? You call everyone a liar. No, I only call it certain people, Sly. I call you a liar because I believe that you know that the Earth's not a ball and you have access to computer-aided design software and you know how to use it. And anybody that tells us that we live on a ball with the skills that you've got can only be lying. I call you a liar, Sly, because you are one. Do you have a problem with that? I don't have a problem calling you a liar, and I'll call it to your face. There is no way that you realize that there is no way that you think that we live on a ball, Sly. You're a disingenuous, lying piece of shit. That's really what you are, Sly. You've got intelligence. You've got access to CAD. You know how to use it, yet still come up with the idea that we live on a ball. Darkstar, why are you so upset when the rumpus doesn't give me attention? It's not the attention that I want from the rumpus. It's the answers that I want him to give us. And he doesn't seem to be doing very well at it. So I'm not sure that it's accurate to describe me in that way that I'm upset. I just realize that he's a liar. Well, or he's an indoctrinated fool, one or the other. But Sly, as far as I'm concerned, Sly is dishonest. Because you know it can't be a ball. I don't necessarily, to be honest, let me state my position with regards to what it is. I don't think anybody in the flat Earth movement should be predicting what they think it is. Whether it's flat, we can't prove or not. Whether it's flat or not, we cannot prove. We can't prove whether it's convex, concave. We can't prove any of it because we don't have any scientists, don't have any money, don't have any time. With the resources we've got, we've basically got a P900 and MS Paint. What can reasonably be expected? I heard Darren Nesbitt, and I'm a big fan of Darren Nesbitt. I like a lot of the things he says. But I heard him saying on the Good Morning Show that gravity is a consequence, not a cause. And I'm like, why would you say that? Because that sounds very, very Arwin-esque. Arwin thinks that gravity is something as well. But my response is, well, how did you distinguish the gravity against the force that we know that is called density? Because you have to isolate that gravity, and then you show that it exists. And unless you can isolate it from the density, then you can't argue that it's even a thing. It appears that we're simply observing displacement in the atmosphere caused by the object's own weight. And without a resistance to stop it, it will displace the air below it because it's heavier or more dense than that air. So I don't like it when people use words like gravity on FE because we shouldn't be. It sounds like he's redefining gravity. I might be wrong, but I think that it would be silly to argue or to use the word gravity on the flat Earth unless we can prove that it actually exists. Because otherwise, it sounds like you're redefining it, and now intends to do that. Shut up. Why am I slagging Sly? I've been really clear, Bolster Chan. Would you like me to go through it again just for you, or would you like to understand that he's got access to CAD and he's not stupid? He makes really good videos, but there's no way a guy of that guy's intelligence and skills can realize that there is no curvature. That's why I'm slagging Sly, because I don't believe he's a genuine person. I believe he's literally not a shill, but he's definitely something. I'm not quite sure what he is, but I don't believe he's being honest or genuine. Ninja Man says, I've got my doubts about Darren Nesbitt. Well, he pushes that Pac-Man Sun model, right? And that's empirically impossible to prove because Pac-Man Sun going out one side, popping back in the other side. Sounds more like curvature to me if you're going to argue that. But I like him. I think he's controlled opposition. If it's in the mainstream, they want you to see it. Buddy Boy, I watched the Blackpool convention thing that he had where it looked like he was in a church. I'm not quite sure what video it was, but he was talking to them, and somebody in the audience was asking, like, how does the sun work? And he gave the Pac-Man model, and I looked at that and I was watching their reaction more than listening. I was listening to what he said, but I was watching their reaction too. And that was the moment when he lost his audience there, because I mean, I don't know how he comes to the conclusion that the sun Pac-Man's across. It's the same with Arwin. Don't agree with Arwin at all. I don't understand how anybody could argue that the sun Pac-Man's across the world. It makes more sense that there's two suns that are identical, and we're seeing a reflection of the other one, and that would explain it. But he doesn't argue that. He argues that it teleports across the plane. And I'm like, really?
Chris modelled it for us. It died on its arse. I don't really get it.
I don't really get it. See that Nick's got no L. Mark Taylor thinks that you isolate gravity like by using a vacuum chamber. Well, all you actually do is remove the air resistance from the test. You don't isolate gravity by using a vacuum chamber at all. Why would you say such nonsense? Nesbitt is a dunce. Lol, he could be on this panel badge. Well, to be honest, I've invited him to join us and explain it because it might be me being ignorant, and I don't want to attack him straight away because the guy, when we spoke at the conference on Friday, the guy was a nice guy. However, he uses the phrase like gravity, like Arwin does, called gravity, and I'm like, well, Jazaconda, sorry, Riley, we can produce the effects of gravity here on this big old bitch. Well, how do you produce the effect of gravity? Yeah, it's also the effect of density and displacement. So how can you prove that it's the effect of gravity over density or displacement? So yeah, you could claim it's gravity, but it also matches other descriptions too. Pac-Man Idiot has taken over. Pac-Man Idiot has taken over all MSN Flat Earth articles. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's a good thing to be preaching what you think it might be, especially when it's something extreme like that. I mean, Flat Earth's bad enough as it is. Pushing that narrative's not easy. Shout out to Jim Benson. Goodbye. Any more troll accounts join? The quicker we get them done, the quicker we can concentrate on conversation. Sly Sparkane at Everett Anderson. Is he trying to bait me? I have no audio, but since he screwed up his chimney example of pressure yesterday by explaining the opposite of what exists, not interested. I'm calling you out. You're a dishonest freak. You have access to CAD. You don't realize, or you don't present a ball. You don't present a flat plane that we all observe. You manage to manipulate it in such a way that makes it look spherical. You do good videos. But you're a nonce. You're a liar, literally a liar. And there's only a few people that I call a liar. You're one. Sean Hufford's another. Sean tried to tell me that he was taking legal action against me, and that he had an ex parte hearing with a judge who ruled, quote, he wouldn't set a precedent for insanity to be grounds for an extradition order from the UK to America on the grounds of defamation of character. That's what he claimed. And that is, I mean, it's legalese, but I understood it, and I don't think he understood that I would understand it, because I think he patronized me with it, or tried.
Roll attack. Hello, Alan.
Afternoon, boys. You seem angry this morning, Tony. Oh, the silent treatment.
On mute. Don't know if he knows.
Wish he was mute.
I didn't realise I was mute. Yeah, I'm just surprised that there's not been a response yet from the ballers. I mean, we've got a flat Earth observation at 700 feet of missing curvature, and there is clearly land there that we expected to see. And when we saw it, it was there. It strongly supports a flat plane. It doesn't support a curve. Yet, you know, there hasn't been a response yet. We have Philip Weinberg, who's a PhD physicist, claiming that there is no inferior mirage, yet there is evidently inferior mirage. So unless he's going to rewrite the rules of physics, I'm wondering how he's going to explain that one away, because it's clearly evidence that there is an inferior mirage. And I'm just wondering what's going on. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me. There's kind of like silence on the ball Earth front, which is good. Obviously, they're claiming that they're not interested, but ultimately, they can't explain it away. Flat Earth proof, missing 700 feet curvature, sat in that sweet spot of 30 to 35 miles. It's not looking good for the ballers, I'll be honest.
You're the worst beta ever.
Yeah, I'm good at it though.
You think?
Sly says, Ranty, why could you not see the Isle of Man from your new boat footage, and why use the beach there and not at St. Bees? Look at how he moves the goalposts all the time. Sly was one of the people that said, Riley, why don't you go down to the beach? So I did. I mean, how many times did he say that? I was trying to find them, but I couldn't find the references. But he said that numerous times in Hangouts. I just can't find where they are because there's too many Hangouts. Nath?
Yes?
Do us a favour. Look at that comment from Sherlock Homeboy. I know you don't like blocking people, but could you block that one? Because that's just stuff that really shouldn't be said even, but that's not trolling. That's like
not
criminal.
A reflection on me, just a reflection on that scummy commenter.
Yeah, but that's criminal. That's a criminal offence. Right. Can we all report that one? Because saying that somebody's convicted pedo, unwanted commercial content, no. Pornography or sexually explicit material.
Did you get ejected, Anthony? Just muted again.
It's for the best.
I'm just trying to work out what category that comment should go into. Hate speech or graphic violence.
All the way up to
Sherlock Homeboy.
Hello, Debbie. Did you get this morning's script?
No, that's not Debbie. She was talking. That was that play stuff.
Those could do a few shout outs. Hey Nick, good to have you. Buddy boy, nice to see you. Badge, thanks for being here. Horse wearing people costume. Sherlock Homeboy, good to have you. Meridian, nice to see you as well. Oh, that's too much to read. Lord Fafnixador, good to have you. Jazzaconda, thanks for being here.
Nathan. Do me a favour, Nathan.
What's that?
That's Sherlock Homeboy, that second comment. Please get rid of it.
There you go. Reported him for harassment.
No, I want you to remove it, Nathan. Saying shit like that is not trolling.
It's like I say, it's just a reflection on the audience, not on me.
Mark, stop being a prick.
How do you know it's Mark?
Because he's the only one that does shit like this. I'll keep calling it until he does. Right, so everybody in chat, can you report that Sherlock Homeboy account? And at least that hopefully will get that account stopped. And he'll have to get another troll account he can do it on, because the Baz account's died. There was a funeral for Baz account yesterday. So Sherlock Homeboy account will be dead as well in the next 24 hours. So make sure everybody reports it. Dawn says it is a reflection on you, Nathan. Yeah, I agree with Dawn on that occasion. I don't think that you should allow that because it's just ridiculous. If you choose to, I think that does reflect on you, Nathan, one way, because you should be controlling that. It's bullshit.
That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is
Eleanor, that's bullshit.
if I react to it, people say, "Oh, it's reacted."
Why can't we see Ramsey Harbour? Well, why? I don't. Right. The question is, why can we see the land? J4444 should be 700 feet behind the curve. Why can we not see Ramsey Harbour? It's only like 70 feet tall. It's probably too small. You wouldn't expect to see something so small that distance away. Mark Taylor, you don't do anything in your name. You keep your normal account quite clean, like all the trolls. Thanks, Saunders. Riley probably isn't a pedo. He's just a liar. Gee, that makes me feel really... Anyway, so, Alan B., do you understand what an inferior mirage is?
Maybe take that as a no. Still with us, Alan?
Maybe he's gone for a drink. When we come back, we'll
gone for a brew, I think.
ask him again. Why can't we see Ramsey Harbour? It's too small. So perspective has changed Ramsey Harbour, but nothing else. Ramsey Harbour is like, it sits at about, well, up to 70 feet. It's a really small amount. There is a little obstruction on the horizon that matches the little bit that we're missing. I'm all right with that.
You're on mute again, Anthony, just so you know.
I know, yeah, I did it myself that time. Oh, Miles the Liar Davis. Not seen him for a while. So I wonder what happened to him. Has he disappeared off the face of the earth? I've not seen his little pompous voice for a while. Has anybody seen anything? Let's have a quick look.
Do a few placeholders if a few people could join. You don't necessarily have to talk in the conversation, just to stop us getting trolled.
Miles Davis. Well, the last video was 2 months ago. Wonder what's happened to him. I'd forgotten about him. The Earth is a round ball. What is there to debate? The evidence that supports it, Xenoskeptic. Where's the evidence that supports this nonsense? Please, join the panel. Let's present it and let's discuss it.
Yeah, that's it.
Alan?
Hi.
Are you back?
Back from where?
You were off mic for a while.
I'm back.
Do you know what an inferior mirage is, Alan?
Yes, do you?
I do. Would you like to tell me whether you think that there's an inferior mirage in the evidence we presented the other day?
Haven't looked, Tony.
Oh, allow me.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining. Oh. I think I've just accidentally kicked out Sleeping Warrior. My bad. It's got to happen at least once. Sorry, that was me. Sorry.
You sniped me.
I did. I kicked you out. Sorry. Hi, Dan. How you doing?
He's back.
Yeah, not bad, thanks. All right, Anthony.
Well, the only trouble is now there's nobody on the back door, so it's going to kill the hangout in the next 2 seconds. You may as well start a new one up in preparation.
Yeah, I think you're right, because Dan's just been booted. So if you can keep chatting just while I start a new hangout. I'm really sorry, Alan.
No problem.
Welcome to the show. Where you don't know. Sorry about this minor interruption. Massive thanks to all who've shared. Do the work of but a moment. And we're back. Just stick the link out to Mass Debaters and Atom Bomb Chat if you're in either of those. If you could join, link will stay private for about 5 minutes. Spurs is online. Let's stick him the link as well, see if we can get him in. Right, where's Atom Bomb Chat? There it is. Sent you the link, Dan, if you want to rejoin. So the link will be private for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. Hello again, Anthony. Can you hear me?
I can. Any sign of
Again, you're a bit quiet. There we go.
Any sign of Alan B?
He won't be able to join until I make the link public. I'm sure he'll rejoin 5-10 minutes time. How long did we get? 38 minutes, better than yesterday. 90 seconds yesterday. And I hadn't even put the link out.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how
It
that
wasn't
happened.
me
It
that
was
came in
amazing.
either.
I'd started the show, I hadn't even published the link, and the trolls started coming in. I was like, what's going on? I haven't even published this link yet.
Alan B, if you send me a message on Skype, I'll send you over the Hangout link. Because I'd like to know whether or not you have a thingy.
What's the thingy?
The view on whether or not it's an inferior Mirage, because I don't understand how there could be an argument against it. But he stands by his position, right? And he's a PhD level physicist, so.
Did he say he wouldn't come back in?
No, he said.
That was nonsense, whoever said that yesterday.
As it's the end of the semester, he's pretty busy with grading students' work and will not be able to make it. So he's busy at the end of the year, isn't he? Which is fair enough. But it would be helpful rather than have the debate with the Rumpus. Why don't you? You should just have the debate with us, because having it with Rumpus is, well, he's now known as Dumpus because he is dumb. Okay.
Massive thanks
So
to
whilst-
Jazzaconda. Says he shares all the time. Thank you, Jazzaconda. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, and the more people that share, it's true that you will get a more diverse panel. So you don't have to put up with me all the time. I'm only here to trigger it and get it going a little bit. Poke a couple of people, see if they join. This is tediously boring. Xenoskeptic, why don't you join and present your evidence for why you're so believable. You're so in the belief that it's a ball. I'd like to see this nonsense. Rumpus has delivered the much-needed killer blow to this echo chamber. DTBMPR, you can join if you'd like and bring the evidence with you for your views on the shape of the Earth, because I'd like to hear what you've got to say. You seem to be another one like Nick, sits there doing all the top text and none of the actual important stuff. Dark Star, you must have enough evidence to create a report on the Isle of Man by now. Yeah, it's flat. Don't really need anything more than that. We see it because it's there, as opposed to we don't see it because it's fallen behind the curve of the Earth. Everybody was lied to, and they are just a bit slow picking up on that. Everybody was lied to, and people are definitely slow on picking up on it. It's funny because I was having a conversation. Nick says, if you want us to join, tell Nathan to learn how to host calmly. I'd agree with that, Nick, to be honest. Somebody that's fresh to the debate shouldn't be treated the same way that the Rumpus gets treated. Somebody like Rumpus deserves hard-handed because he's been here long enough to know that he has to have evidence to prove points.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Sir. Good to have you.
How y'all doing?
Have you wet the bed? What time is it for you? Is it like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, buddy. Up strong. Always up for long. You know?
You're a bit of an insomniac, Issa.
What's that, brother?
I know I'm up at all hours of the morning and late at night and hardly get any sleep, hence I'm always online. But are you the same?
Yeah,
you know, man, if I go to sleep at 2 in the morning, I'm up at 6 in the morning. If I go to sleep at 8 at night, I'm up at 6 in the morning. It's just there's nothing I can do about it. Or I'm up at 3 in the morning. If I sleep 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I got a hell of a metabolism. So
No, I'm exactly the same. I'm at 6 a.m. regardless, and it's because of when I was at school. That's what time I got up, and it's just been trained into me. And I was saying, if I go to bed at 3 a.m., I'm still up at 6. So when we had our kid, my wife struggled with it because she was used to getting sleep, whereas it made no difference to me at all. It was just
I can't do it. I wake up and I'm like a robot. I make coffee. I just go. Like, I think I learned it from my old man. He used to wake up at 5 in the morning every day, and I would get up too. So I always just would get up at that hour.
Hey,
yep.
Can you give me some help here? I'm struggling with the interpretation.
You need a lot of help, Riley. What can I do you for?
I want you to tell me whether or not this is an inferior mirage, because Philip Weinberg.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Phil's doubled down. He said that it's not an inferior mirage. So, Nathan, if you present.
Hold on. Let me look up, I don't want to get my mirages confused.
Well, the superior mirage is the one that's above the horizon, a Fata Morgana kind of thing. The inferior mirage is one where there's the reflection below the horizon.
And the reflection below is the upside down. So you're looking at, is that what you're talking about? Like that upside down aspect of the mirage.
Philip Weinberg, the PhD level doctorate guy.
Yeah, I gotta say, hell of a gentleman. I had him over on at the court, and he was he's really cool. So shout out to Phil.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I quite like him. Yeah. But he's doubled down on his statement that he doesn't think that this. And I'll read what he says. He says, "I've tried to explain in the comments, but will provide evidence that it is not an inferior mirage in the hangout with the Rumpus using my footage." So he's directly citing this footage, and he says that this is not an inferior mirage. So my question is, Issa, do you think that this is an inferior mirage? And if not, why not?
Let me. I can't. Should I be looking at YouTube or
in the Hangouts?
In the Hangouts, all I see is the sun. Oh, forgive me. I'm on the wrong. Yeah, no. All I see is. Okay, gotcha. Forgive me. Now I see you. Forgive me. Go on.
So he's citing from this video, and he's saying that he's not seen an inferior mirage here, and I'm thinking, well, what is he seeing if he's not seeing an inferior mirage? What have you got a view? What do you think?
All I see is a black screen right now, unless. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you know what I found the most interesting was some of the footage. Is almost like it's literally like looking at a painting. Oh, I see is okay. There you go. It's like there's so many. The fact that your altitude is nil practically is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
You know, because like it's like it looks like there's levels to. I mean, I guess it's just the crests and the waves.
Well, it
But
was quite still water, if I'm honest, and that really does help with the observation. It does have to be a still sea, otherwise you are going to get waves that are bigger.
no,
Than...
that's I gotta say though. The see, here's the thing: is that take a guy like like Phil. It's that Phil's going to come to the consensus conclusion because of what he's learned, and he's going to maybe these guys are going to propose that there's some sense of looming going on. I think and then I think like we agreed, like what it is, bro. It's a matter of semantics. We had our friend on the other day, and we were talking about remember just yesterday, I believe, talking about how they wouldn't concede that light goes up and down. But they will concede that light will move in a 360 degree at any direction 360 degrees. Now,
Yeah.
if that isn't just now, the thing is that are you content with that answer? Because I personally, I have to be content with it and chuckle to myself. And so like the idea is that like in the context of what you're talking about, in the way that they want to, they won't relent. They won't say up because God forbid it should go against the rule of gravity.
Yeah.
Now, right? You know what I mean? But the point is, they will say that it can go in 360 degrees in any direction. And so I think really it's tomato throughout this whole discussion.
Yeah. What about inferior mirage though? Come on. Did you see one there or did you not see one?
What is it?
What about the inferior mirage claim? Did you see one there or did you not?
The inferior mirage.
Yeah, I just played it for you.
Yeah. What I saw, it looked pretty crisp as far as I'm concerned. But again, it's like I've said before, is that it's too far away to confirm. So it's so far away.
So is that a denial? Is that a no?
Well, haven't I stated before that it's an optical phenomena, bro? And this one goes, and also too, I don't know if you heard the new song.
Right, but
shout out to all the snowflakes in the chat room. You can find me in your chat room, darling. I'll tell you how I feel. You can find me in your chat room, darling. I'm very emotional. Forgive me, go on. You got a bunch of emotional fans out there.
Was it an inferior mirage then or not? Come on, yes or no? You sounding like Rumpus.
Yes, I mean, well, again, look. There's a reason to the madness in that regard, because it's like it's like look, it's the way you're gonna answer. Or, I don't know, bro. I didn't see any mirages going on in that picture. You know what I mean? I didn't see any mirages in the chat room, but I did in the chat room. Oh gosh, what do you call it? I didn't see any on that image. From my perspective, it looks like it's a clean shot. It's got it sees all the. I don't know, bro. The altitude that you're at too is just so ridiculous. The only thing I think you could see, or actually, I'm surprised that you don't see so much of, is mirroring. I don't see any mirroring in that, right?
Mirroring's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that I don't see it in that picture. You know what I'm saying? Do you see it?
Well, I would say there's definitely a mirage there.
I mean, most likely because you're so far away and you're dealing with light, there's probably some kind of a mirage happening. I particularly don't pick it up. Unless you want to point it out to me.
It's one of those.
But I mean, it looks,
I was just going to say, so close to the water that you are going to have what is the classic. It's the waves obscuring. No, it's the waves obscuring the bottom, and in this instance, that is very much the case. It's right next to waves that will be splashing up and spray that will be splashing up higher than his.
Yeah, it's weird though, because it almost looks like the first shot. It's like you have a shot with the filter and then without, right?
Yeah, the only reason why I removed the filter was so that you could see the tripod I was using. It's like a little scuff of sand.
Right. Was that a physical filter or a digital filter?
No, digital. I changed the contrast. I put the contrast up so that the darks were darker, and I turned the brightness down so that the whites were less bright.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know, man. I mean, the problem is you're dealing with. I think the alternative argument for someone like myself may be that you also have that claim of 69 miles for 1 degree of arc. You know what I mean? That's the proposed thing. So it's really difficult for me to say that. Like, I mean, I disagree with a lot of the ballers when it comes to the idea that you're going to see a ship go over the curve of the Earth, personally, because I think that even if the Earth is a ball, you've got to look way farther than you think. Like, I think that I think that the whole boats going over the curve of the Earth is a big it's almost like a historical problem for the ball, because they've created a mountain out of a molehill that people are coming down with holy tablets with. So I don't know. I would say don't do the same, but here we are.
So can everybody in chat tell Slice Barcane where he can find the video for the Isle of Man St. B's observation from the beach? He pretends that he's not seen it or is aware of it. Just direct him over to my channel or onto Nathan's channel, and it's the last 2 videos that have been posted. But let everybody do it so that Sly gets the message, because he seems to be a bit slow.
You can find me in your chat room, darling. Very emotional. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I think it's like it's a tough one, tough one on both sides. But I think the craziest part about it is that the ball Earth argument won't permit that it's not going over the curve of the Earth on the x-axis or the z-axis, and because of that, this is never going to end. But I dig it, man. I like the proof. I like the evidence, and it's dope, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main protagonists was Slice Barcane himself. I couldn't find it because it's lost in one of the hangouts somewhere, but or in numerous hangouts. But he was one of the people that said, "Hey, Riley, why don't you go and get it from the beach?" So I went back and I got it from the beach. Now I know I can get it from the beach. Guess what I'll be doing for the next 3 or 4 days when we go back up there? Hopefully the weather's going to be on the turn now, because we've had a period of bad weather and it's due to improve starting Saturday. So if it doesn't start improving on Saturday, jump in the car, up we go, and then spend a couple of days there and get even more of it in better weather conditions, and let them argue over how it's all these extreme, unusual circumstances. It's literally nonsense.
Hey, what up, Nami Nam?
Not much. How's it going?
Chilling, brother. Good to see you.
I'm liking the icon trait change. That makes me feel a lot better.
Icon change? Who?
Nami Num. He used to have this blind.
Oh, he still got it there. It's still there, bud. What are you looking at?
He's got 2 skulls.
Oh, I see the old one.
Oh, do you? Oh, no, he's got 2 skulls now.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I changed it a few days ago, but I guess it takes a while to catch up for different people.
Yeah, it's a rough one to look at.
Yeah, it is a rough one. It's not pleasing on the eye.
Yeah, it's definitely not helping Flat Earth, if you will.
So Slice Market says, I'll definitely take a look, unlike Nathan and Riley and Ranty, who ran from my East Side test and video. Why would anybody be interested in an East Side test and video, Sly? Come on. Yeah, but you should take a look, Sly. I'd be interested to know what nonsense that you can generate on this, because in the video that I put a copy of on my channel, the high quality one that wasn't played through the Hangout, you can definitely see that there's an inferior mirage. Issa didn't want to commit to it because he gave a politician's answer. I'll go on the record and say that, but nonetheless, it is an inferior mirage. And there's a PhD level scientist or physicist that claims that it's not. So I'd be interested to know if you agree with him or not, because I'll call you on that and I want you to answer. Is that an inferior mirage or not, Sly? I'd be interested to see you saying that that's not an inferior mirage, because you wouldn't go against a physicist PhD student guy, would you? No. So let's see what you can do, Sly. Worm. So, not been a lot of responses to it, because they're all claiming that they're not interested in it. But yeah, it is a decent flat Earth proof, and it was one that was requested in the Hangouts when you lot were all taking the mic. So, I'm just going to revel in it for a few weeks until there's some reasonable responses. Sly's got no audio right now. That's a shame. So I can literally badmouth him as much as I humanly want, and he'll have to go back and watch it. Well, Sly, you are dishonest, dude. You know that it's not a ball, I'm not saying you know what it is, but I definitely know that you know what it is not. Like us. Yet you still push videos and narrative that supports the ball Earth model. Well, disingenuous is the word, Sly. And that's why I attack you, because you're full of rubbish. You're as bad as the rumpus. No, he's not, actually. He's not.
Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's so much animosity to people. I always think, man, just keep in mind, it's not what you say, it's how you say it sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think a lot of the parties out here have kind of really just ticked each other off throughout the 3 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, if people can kind of get over that, and if not, I'm at the point where it's like, hey, I just think, I like that this is so open and everything. I used to be very open about it, share the link and get everyone in. Now I'm like, not so much. Right now it's like, so like there's good people that I like that I've met out here, and but I think having a worthy adversary is someone who's going to take the opposite position and really suss out the information. That's what it is. And actually, after your guys' conference, I'm sure I would like to think that you'll have more opportunity to kind of. I'll tell you what, like even watching you guys present the case, like I would love to see a live presentation. You know what I mean? To see like it's like say it to somebody's face, almost. Like I want it on camera, like Rumpus and you guys on different panels or something with your evidence and like a hosted event, like a town. This should be a town hall meeting. And the only reason I say that it could be, in a way it would be good in person, is that it takes away all this anonymous bullshit that people will get away with.
Yeah.
Because now you're face to face, and like it's like, hey, keep your P's and Q's all good, please. You know what I mean? So that we can have an honest discussion. And if not, then that gets like gets sorted out a lot quicker in person. You know what I mean? And just in debate, because if someone's going to act like out of line in front of a general, like actual people in community, people will be more shocked at someone just ranting and raving and just being like, you don't know what, that type of whatever. Like people are appalled by that more so in person, I think, because it shows the lack of social acuity that would be necessary to hold a decent conversation. And therefore it implies some kind of scientific shortcoming to the general community when you can't speak like that correctly, It's
just a different space on the internet, I mean, it has its benefits and its drawbacks.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I loved seeing it in person on the video with like the presentations, like Anthony, you were a great public speaker, man. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was great. Like, and Nathan as well. I think it was actually a real treat to see you in that setting.
Yeah. I mean, I rehearsed that. Then I had it down to about 19 minutes, maybe 20, 21 if I overran. It took 50. Don't know how that happened.
Yeah, well, a couple drinks.
Yeah. Stella.
Yeah.
Shout out to the guy that bought the Stella.
Blame it on the alcohol. Yeah, I feel you, bud. Yep. But yeah, I just I'm interested. So what else you got? I'll argue for the ball.
Well, there's not a lot of arguing you can do for the ball.
What you got?
Have you got any evidence?
How does the atmosphere rotate with the Earth?
Carefully.
Really? So the atmosphere is a friction material, is it? Gas is a friction material?
A friction material? What do you mean? Well, it could be like a field of gas. And it's like, it's in this like realm of
friction material.
It's a field of gas, but how are the molecules rotating, 100 miles up? How are they following the surface 100 miles below?
Well, because of that's to say that all those molecules, like what molecules and at what point are we talking about? Because if they're within the range of the gravitational pull, then they wouldn't escape that. That's like geocentric satellites or something.
It's not about escape. It's about how are they. It's not about gravity is only pushing them straight down, but what's making them go sideways with the rotation towards the east?
What's making them go sideways? What do you mean?
Well, gravity is only just the
Are you talking about like wind patterns or something?
No. I'm talking about why flights don't take different lengths of time whether going east or west, right? Like if you fly with the spin or against the spin, the
Right,
flight.
it would be due to relativity.
No, it's not relativity.
Because you would be in a fixed state, in regards to when you took off, you would be in. I mean, granted, though, that would be to say, like,
Then there's no Coriolis effect.
Well, hey, here's the thing: is that I'm willing to say that, hey, maybe we were mistaken about the Coriolis effect in regards to the like gunfire or something like that, and maybe the way that we're looking at it is mistaken in the sense that maybe it is the relativity of the position of takeoff.
I don't understand what you mean by the relativity of the position of takeoff, because we're taking off from a moving object, right?
Well, I think you're taking. Well, hold on, but you're not perceptively, not to your perception is that you're not moving. The idea is that when you start to take off, like you start off and you've got some speed, and then you take off of the Earth, you're still within the framework of the Earth's gravity, essentially the relative nature of your star. Like the idea is that you might not perceive any Coriolis, but the Earth collectively and everything with it is essentially spinning. But because you
be able to measure that with the
Coriolis is something that we would experience only from the Earth, right? The Coriolis is what you don't see when you're outside of the reference frame.
Right.
If I just define it, so hold on a second. The Coriolis effect. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air, that would be atmosphere, and water masses, that would be clouds and water vapour, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently.
Totally.
It's a tough one, isn't it, Issa?
Well, no, you see, it's because the idea is that when you're taking off from the fixed position, and because of the idea that you're more dense than air, you wouldn't necessarily be you wouldn't be, let's say, like a bullet that would be subject to the
bullet's more dense than air, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but your
do you want me to just repeat it again, Issa?
Plane is more dense.
Sorry, I'll just say it again because it's obviously not clear. The Coriolis effect. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air, that would be atmosphere, and water masses, clouds and vapour, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently.
Well, that would be to define straight, because as we know, level on the ball Earth model means that there is that constant curve. So when we're saying straight, it's straight in proportion to the gravitational pull.
No. I'll read it one more time, because that's not what the Coriolis effect is. It doesn't say anything about gravity. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air and water masses, move in straight paths, while the Earth continues to rotate independently.
Yeah, but that thing is I could see where if a plane is taken off, then it controls its movement to a certain extent. Therefore, it wouldn't necessarily be like that. Independence becomes something where there is a control factor.
So the plane is turning. So the plane's going to turn the whole time, or
no? Because that gets into our. Hold on, that gets back to our definition of the idea of straight. Because straight, in proportion to the Earth, is going to be curved.
No, well then it's not straight.
Right, but you wouldn't.
Straight still means the same thing, regardless of what model you're on. I mean,
well, straight. Well, that's the thing is, we talk about, if you talk about straight, right, you would have to, like, if you went straight from the horizon, straight, like, you know what I mean? Then, in the sense of I guess, no variation is the idea that you would leave the Earth's atmosphere, right?
No, it's an apparent curve. So what's happening, Issa, is as the plane takes off, if you were stood directly behind the plane and you watched it take off, the plane jets off and it goes in a straight line. However, you continue to move as the plane takes off. So from your fixed reference on the ground, which is moving, the plane appears to take a curved trajectory, but it's only an apparent curve because you are moving in respect to the straight path that the aeroplane is taking.
Right, but I don't know if it necessarily dictates. I mean, I understand your concept of from the Coriolis idea that the Earth would be moving away from the plane, and hence why would the time variations be different or whatever, or wouldn't they be different? I think that because of this concept of relativity, we have, I think, mistaken the idea of what we think to be Coriolis.
No. That's what it's describing. The relative path that you witness from the ground curves. So in terms of your relative vision of the plane, it appears from your relative position to curve, but it does not. It's travelling in a straight path. The Earth is the only thing moving, and it continues to rotate beneath the plane, independent of the plane, according to the Coriolis effect. The big problem with that is we don't have different flight times east and west.
Yeah, I wonder if we don't have a misunderstanding about Coriolis, to be honest. Because
no, it's not a misunderstanding. Coriolis is very well defined. If you have two references, that's it. If you're in two different reference frames, that's when you have the Coriolis effect. This apparent deviation, and it is just apparent from your moving position. Well, in the same way as if you travel past a tree, the tree appears to move, but it's not. You're moving, the tree isn't. That's an apparent moving of the tree. But if you're rotating, then you have an apparent curve of trajectory, even though the plane is actually travelling in a straight line. It's the Earth that continues to rotate beneath it.
It gets even worse if you try to apply it to a flight that's flying north or south, actually, because then, like, say if we fly from we start flying from a place at 45 degrees north latitude, right? Then we're moving about 1,000 miles an hour, and then we want to fly to we're moving at not 1,000 miles an hour, something like 1,100 miles an hour. Okay, so at 45 degrees latitude, we're moving at, like, say, 700 miles an hour. Give or take. I don't know if that's the exact right figure, but then say we want to fly down to the equator to a spot that's moving at 1,000 miles an hour. That over the time as the flight time elapses. Sorry, I just woke up. But the destination that you're flying to is actually moved a much further distance in that time, right? So it's like, say you're moving to a spot that's moving at 1,000 miles an hour and you're in the air for 5 hours or 10 hours, that spot's moved 10,000. That spot has had to have moved 10,000 miles, whereas the spot that you originated has only moved 7,000. So how are you making up that extra 3,000 miles? Is the flight turning the whole time? Because then if it was, you'd perceive that in the flight, because in order for a plane to turn, it has to roll. So then you wouldn't be flying level. You would notice, right? But in practice, it's just flight times are just like they just plot them out as straight lines and they don't have to make it up. So it's pretty clear that.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's tough for me to argue for this explanation in regards to Coriolis, because even for myself, I think that there may be some misconceptions regarding what we think Coriolis would do to the airplane versus what is apparently happening, and the way that we can fly from all these different locations.
No, that's wrong. There is no misunderstanding here. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air and water masses, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently. There's no misunderstanding here.
Yeah, but there's also no qualification as regards to what material. Like, let's say, like, you're talking about like air there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if if that fits the. No
problem. I'll give you the clarity with the first part of the sentence. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air and water vapor, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently.
Right, but a plane is not necessarily freely moving because it's controlled or something. Yeah,
right? It is. It's independent of the Earth. The Earth moves independently of anything that's not on Earth. The Coriolis effect is you seeing an apparent curve, and that's what they detail in bullets. The problem being it doesn't apply to planes, or we'd have different journey times, but we don't. Same applies to balloons. As soon as it sets off in an upward direction, the Earth continues to move beneath it. However, when the balloon comes back down, it hasn't moved a sodding inch. It's still in exactly the same place and comes down to Earth. When you fire cannonballs directly up in the air, some of them come back down the barrel. So the Earth isn't moving independently underneath anything in the air. It's all stationary.
Isn't this where I'm supposed to call you stupid or something?
Yeah, this is normally where you'd either, as a intellectually honest person, concede defeat or call me a moron and tell me for the 5th time that I don't understand the Coriolis effect when I've actually read it out about 5 times.
Damn it. So bad at this. I hate being mean. I can't say I'm wrong. I can't concede.
You can't concede if you're a baller. You're not allowed. That's part of the rules.
Oh, what am I doing?
Never concede if you're a baller, even if you're obviously wrong.
Yeah.
The best thing to do, if you want to know what the trick they do use, Issa, is rinse and repeat. So at this point, you start right at the beginning of the point and reassert the point from the start. And then we go round in a big circle again till we reach the point that you're obviously wrong. And then you do it all over again. Rinse and repeat. Standard practice.
Yeah. That's why I just write music now. So I've walked, even it's more about art, man, for me. Because what saddened me? Did you see Eddie Bravo? Shout out to Edgy Bravo. He's been putting up some shit over on Rogan's. He did on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was on, and there's this co-host, this guy Jamie, who I appreciate as a statistician for like MMA and all kinds of stuff. But he was just ripping into homeboy. He's like, he was like, because Eddie Bravo didn't believe that something about nuclear weapons. Jamie was like, what do you I got an A in physics. Am I wrong? You know what I mean? Like that was people have interwoven what they've learned as a part of their psyche's makeup. And this is something that we need to unravel first before we can really even get here. Otherwise, it's, what am I supposed to do? Say you're stupid and not concede.
Check out this retard in the chat that was on yesterday. Unorthodox X. You've got to be kidding me, Nathan Oakley. The Earth should move out from under the balloon. Oh, right.
Yeah,
should it now?
Maybe you should change the name of the show to the Ultimate Debating Championship.
What's the Ultimate Debating Championship?
Yeah, it's a big fight.
Nice. Well, okay, wait a minute. I just remember. Hold on. I just just remembering. So let's see. We got Coriolis effect. Water and air masses move freely over the Earth and ocean surface, while objects on the Earth's surface, including the solid Earth itself, are constrained to move with the Earth in its rotation. This causes moving water or air masses to appear to follow curving paths across the Earth's surface. The apparent deflection, called the Coriolis effect, is to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. The effect is at a maximum at the poles and is reduced at lower latitudes, becoming zero at the equator. So there.
What? So there?
Yeah,
so there. So thank you for reasserting our point that according to the Coriolis effect, the Earth moves underneath anything travelling in the air. And therefore, we're back to the same problem with the flight, Caesar. Why don't they take different times?
Well, I think, like we said before, it's like that relatively. And granted, we could go back into this. It's like the air if we want. That's where for me, it's honestly like it becomes. If you're going to have that position, it's about the concept of relativity. And now, granted, these things like the water and air masses, like, you know what I mean, that move freely over the Earth and ocean surface, while objects on the Earth's surface, including the solid Earth itself, are constrained to move with the Earth in its rotation. And the point being is that from the plane's point of takeoff, if it is in the frame of reference that it is in the gravitational pull, it will be a moot effect in regards to
the gravitational
its course of travel.
But the gravitational
that's what I'm gathering. I'm remembering some stuff from school.
Right, the problem being is that that's not what happens. That's not how it's defined. There's no mention of gravity in the Coriolis effect. And in regards to relativity, it's relative to your position. The relative curve that you see is a false curve. You don't actually have the plane curving. It's travelling in a straight line. It appears to curve from your fixed reference point on the rotating Earth, That is the relative effect that you see. As for regarding gravity, it defies the definition. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air, water, move in straight paths, while the Earth continues to rotate independently. Not move in line with gravity's force, move in straight paths, while the Earth continues to rotate
also,
independently.
It's an apparent deflection, right?
Yeah, from your position, as you stand and watch the plane take off if you are directly behind it, because you continue to spin on the Earth, nonsense, bullshit model, this is all nonsense, that's what they say, you should see the plane deviate to the left in the west or to the right in the east.
Without turning.
Other way
Well,
around.
also, what about if it's due to the location of takeoff and landing? You know, really, what if it's like, you know, it's a variable within the idea that when they fly, these things are taken into consideration concerning each flight path?
They're not in practice.
Yeah, they don't.
But how do we know that, though? We didn't.
Well,
They
because
didn't.
I've read several flight manuals and looked over the takeoff procedures that are used in flying, and they don't. There's
Right,
nothing said about
there's
well,
any-
if you're flying northwest, then blah blah blah. There's nothing like that. I mean, or it doesn't even address your latitude of takeoff ever.
Yeah.
What?
So there's
What?
in practice?
What about with-
I'm just saying in practice, there's nothing there. There's like with this consideration that you're thinking that maybe it has something to do with has never been part of the equation, right?
No.
Also, I
That's the
think
thing.
you're tossing around this term relativity like in an ambiguous kind of way, which people often do, but you know, it really doesn't have anything.
Well, no, I mean, it's a clearly defined principle in mathematics. If you knew anything.
Nice job, nice job. Well done. Hey, Spurs. Hey,
point?
It's
Spurs.
so fun.
It is- I've got to admit, it was fun being a baller.
an inferior mirage in the evidence. He thinks it's a superior mirage. So, Nath, would you mind presenting my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Slice Barcane thinks that this is a superior mirage. Well, the only way that this is a superior mirage is if we have the horizon significantly lower than what we are actually presented with. And then what we're seeing, the mirage, is actually on top of a horizon. So that means Sly argues that the hard horizon that we see here isn't actually the real horizon. He's saying that that's an apparent horizon, and the real horizon is significantly below.
Oh, so now
So
they
we
do
would
want an
therefore
apparent
be seeing
horizon.
then we would therefore be seeing a Fata Bramosa. And that's not a Fata Bramosa, Sly.
And so,
Sounds
on
like-
what basis?
Sounds like a pizza slice. You know,
What- and
freaking-
what's the
Can I
basis?
get let me get a fat Barossa.
What's the basis of this claim that he's making? Like, how is he ascertaining this? How is he?
claims that
Okay, so who's the baller? Is that Isa?
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Oh, so
Oh, another flat.
you're the
tar.
baller in here, right?
Oh, another
Oh,
guy.
so-
Oh,
Hold on a minute. So you're saying that this Coriolis, is it science or math?
both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's deal with one at a time. Show me the science behind this.
The science behind it would be the
the
idea.
science. I mean, because we're only dealing with science, yeah, and you're talking about something that doesn't correlate to the shape of the Earth. Okay.
Let's see what we got. Well, the science. What do you like? What do you mean, like an experiment
you
or
just
something?
you just said math and science is the Coriolis, right? So break it down for me. What is this? What is the science behind the Coriolis?
Well, the science behind it is that water and air masses move freely over the Earth and ocean surface. You
Okay,
know,
so
we take that. So
take me through the
So,
steps of
and
the-
while
the-
objects on the Earth's while objects on the Earth's surface, including the solid Earth itself, are constrained to move with the Earth in its rotation. That would be to do in my mind about relativity, and this causes moving or air masses to appear to follow curving paths across the Earth's surface. The apparent deflection, you know what I mean, is called the Coriolis effect. It is
Yeah, Hold on,
so
hold
that
on.
so check it out. That apparent deflection, and you know what I mean, would be what is what leads us to believe that we have a Coriolis effect.
I hear a lot of explanation, but I haven't heard you once take me through science, the scientific method. You've just given me, your view on how things should work. Where's the science behind this?
Let's look up. Let's see. Experiment
The problem I think that you're having is that
Coriolis.
you know, you're making a lot of claims here, but
Who I have? What do you mean? I have, or the globe Earth has?
Sorry,
I have, or the globe Earth has?
you have
missed-
been with the globe.
Mr. Trick there, Issa. He said the word experiment. I heard him.
Oh, you've done an experiment. Well, first of all, what made you believe that the bullet was actually traveling?
Well, I didn't mention any bullets yet.
So what's the experiment then?
Let's see. Let's see.
Dun, 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 dun,
Hold on here. We've got.
dun, dun.
All right, so I pulled up a paper. Let's see what we got here. So it says demystifying the Coriolis force experiment. Even though experiments, whether demonstrated to or personally performed by students, have been part of training in STEM for a long time, their effectiveness as an education tool is sometimes questioned. For despite students' ability to produce correct answers to standard questions regarding these laboratory exercises, probing deeper often reveals a lack of conceptual understanding. One way to help students make sense of the experiments is to use them in combination. Now, let's see, where's the experiment? Hold on.
Sounds like this is the analysis of the experiment. What's the experiment itself? What is the experiment?
Hold on. What did you guys think? Go to school?
No, because what you're doing
I like
here,
you, Issa. I like you a lot.
Isa, I'm here in philosophy, right? You said to me science, you said to me maths, and I'm still waiting for either. Not your philosophy. Yeah. So where is the science behind this Coriolis? And then we can talk about the math.
All right. Well, I mean, we know, for instance, like, and granted, I will, let's see if we're talking about, like, you brought up bullets, right? So, like, I think the idea is that if you're shooting a gun, right, and you have this concept, right, they're calculating for this movement of the Earth and also wind variation. And so the idea is that if people, if that is revealing itself to be the case when using a firearm, then one would have to presume that these things may be extrapolated out. And also, granted, hold on.
No, what is that?
Hold on. I'm gonna bring in an X factor too, just because.
Come on, Chemo. Let him gish gallop all over his scrappy point.
Hold on. There's satellites, right? So we know that. Like,
no way. You're not changing subject onto satellites. That's no way. Come on, Chemo. Have him.
You've been a good baller, Issa, I have to say.
Hey, Issa, let me ask you, how do you know the distance to the moon?
By the angular diameter. By the
Wait, can we get a consensus that
no, we're talking about the moon now.
No, we're not. We're still talking about your science proof of the Coriolis, Issa. Come on now.
You guys must have never went to school.
But Isa, I want you to concede. Yes, I want you to accept the fact that
never
Coriolis has no science attached to it. It has math based on presuppositions. Yes. Can you accept that?
No, you're just silly.
Well, if you can give me an experiment, if you can show the science behind what you're talking about, this would be a good starting point.
See, well, I think we have satellites. The thing is that if we have satellites up there,
can we stick with the Earth, the ground, the floor, what we stand on? You don't fire your gun in space. Yes.
Well, unless it's a space gun, right?
So, okay, let's round this out then. So, step one, your naturally observed phenomena. That would be a gun being fired, would it, Issa? That's what you're observing in the natural world, is it?
That's one of them. Well, we can look at it in, like, how about this? What about the way, have you ever seen, like, those plants that have, like, the seeds that, like, if you touch the plant, it just pops up?
Man, you're good at this. You're all over the shop now.
The seeds fly out, right? Well, you can detect the Coriolis insurance by how the seeds pop out into the sky.
Is this a joke? Is this what kind of joke?
No. He's actually formulating a proper natural phenomenon. I'm into this. This is good.
Yeah. Okay. So relax there, buddy. So the thing is, like, so you touch the seed, and the seed pops out into the sky, Now, the thing is that as it pops out into the sky, its rate of acceleration downwards as it goes on its trajectory, right, is affected by the movement of the Earth as it moves away in a divine relative dance.
Okay, so what's your independent and dependent variable then, Issa?
The independent variable would be, I guess, well, let's see, it'd be how far are you going? How far is that seed? Like, what's the force that's generating? How far is that seed going? Right,
that's a question.
Distance traveled.
That would be a question as opposed to an independent variable. The thing that you vary as a researcher.
Your independent variable.
So what made what?
Hold on. How about this?
Space. I just want to know. But again, what gave you
space time?
How did you come up with the idea of Coriolis? Where did you say, aha, this must be happening because of this?
Well, Nummy brought it up.
The what?
Nummy brought it up.
Well, yeah, if the Earth was rotating, we would.
I was just trying to explain because obviously you don't understand.
Sure. I'm just trying to tie down what the independent and dependent variable in your test with flower seeds being dispersed in a divine way.
Forget that. I said, give me the math. No, give me the math.
Hold on.
Give me the math. What is the math for?
Well, we'd have to get one of those plants with the seed, Chemo. You could do the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do the experiment.
No, but what's the data? But what is the data on this? Where is it?
Well, start off with the plant. So we got to first find out what the plant's name is. And then we've got to
No. Again, I have to disagree because plants grow at different rates. Yes?
Right, so we could find an average.
Well, which plant is an average?
That's fine. Hold on. Let me find the plant first.
Well, before you do that, hold on, Chemo. So we've got your observed phenomenon. That's great. So
Chemo, you're going to go. Chemo, I almost got you doing experiments about plants. All right, go on. What's up?
So do you understand what your hypothesis actually is, Issa?
Well, the idea is that the distance that would be normally shot out of the seed, right, would be changed. Like, if you propelled that in a laboratory and then did it in nature with the Earth actually moving.
So what causes that change? What causes that?
The rotation of the Earth.
We got there in the end. So that would be your independent variable then. The cause in your cause and effect relationship, correct?
Okay.
So answer me this. How do you vary your independent variable? That would be Earth turning. How do you vary that?
Well, I don't know, but let's look at this.
Well, that's quite critical, you see, because in an independent and dependent variable situation, i.e. a hypothesis, you need to vary the thing you think is causing the dependent variable to vary. And in this case, you're saying that the independent variable, the cause in your cause and effect relationship, that would be Earth turn. And you can't vary Earth turn.
No, this is you're not holding this toast to the fire enough here. You're letting him get away with murder. Okay, he says he has.
Hey, Arwin.
Hey, Arwin. No, this is not. He's getting away with saying lies, telling us his philosophy, preaching basically on here, giving no science, no maths to back up any of his.
You want some music for this dramatic speech?
That's not part of the rules. They don't use that as an obfuscation technique.
Tell him. Come on, Chemo. Where's the emotion? I'm trying to match it.
Failure.
Well, again, this is nowhere near what I thought. I thought you were going to bring proof, evidence, give something convincing, compelling for the people on the fence. It's
what do you want me to? What do you want me to point out the obvious? Like, it seems like you don't know much about the Earth. So back to Gaspard Gustav Coriolis published a paper in 1835 on the energy yield of machines with rotating parts, such as water wheels. The paper considered the supplementary forces that are detecting in a rotating frame of reference. Coriolis divided these supplementary forces into two categories. The second category contained a force that arises from the cross product of the angular velocity of a coordinate system and the projection of a particle's velocity into a plane perpendicular to the system's axis of rotation. Coriolis referred to this force as the compound centrifugal force due to its analogies with the centrifugal force already considered in Category 1. The effect was known in the early 20th century as the acceleration of Coriolis, and by 1920 as Coriolis force. We vary that independent variable by doing the experiment in different latitudes.
Or did you say Coriolis force?
Well, I guess that's what they used to call it. Yeah.
Well, it's not a force, is it? It's an
Well,
effect.
effect.
It's not a force. It's a pseudo effect that is well documented if you have two frames of reference. Now, what we need you to establish, if that's actually occurring here on Earth, is that one of the frames of reference, that would be the Earth, is actually turning, before you tell us about how they apply this presupposition. But so far, Issa, you've not actually determined that that's the case and proved that the Earth is actually turning. You're just presupposing it now in your example.
I wasn't listening. What was that?
You're now presupposing that Earth is turning and that we have this Coriolis force, which it absolutely is not. It's an effect, according to your model. But that's a presupposition that would need first some proof of Earth turn.
Well, I think that's where your variable would be on different latitudes. So there you would be able to determine.
So latitude, meaning a reference system that uses the sphere, correct? So you're going to presuppose it on the mapping system that you use, correct?
Well, that's what it is.
That presupposes a ball, though, doesn't it?
Well, I mean,
you need to rewind just a little bit. You need to rewind before presupposing these things are proven and putting them into effect with examples that use spherical reference systems. First, you need to actually prove it's a sphere. That's step one. Don't say it's a sphere and then tell me how that works, presupposing that it's a sphere. That's very disingenuous when we're here to prove it is actually a sphere. Same applies to presupposing it's a sphere, then presupposing you've got refraction that works with your presupposed sphere, and then presenting that as proof. That's also pretty disingenuous. We get that a lot.
Well, no, but that's the thing. At the time of 1835, for instance, books like The American Practical Navigator had been written, and it become like established based on the apparent movement of the stars and such, that we had determined that and deduced through, let's say, the Newtonian cosmological principle that the Earth most likely was a sphere. And that's why those calculations were looked into as a part of the inquiry and the confirmation of the sphericity of the Earth. And that's why they were proposed and experimented and allegedly seem to stand as accepted science. And so I think because of the genius of these gentlemen who deduced these facts, and throughout history, and even noted throughout history that we used to think the Earth to be flat. And the thing is that as they did that, they allowed for other great thinkers to think of ideas such as the Coriolis effect, which, whether it be a force or not, I mean, to be quite frank, I don't know personally, but I've always heard it referred to as the effect, which makes sense to me in the sense of the apparent, the motion of the Earth, if that be the case. But then relativity takes us out into the grander scheme of things, and that's what gives us even a more sublime, subtle understanding of of nature.
Issa, can I give you a bit of feedback on your display today? Somebody in the chat.
Sure.
I'm very disappointed in the behaviour of this baller. He is refusing to talk over you and almost responding to your points. It's very poor for a baller.
Very
well,
poor.
I do have my critics.
Okay, so look, Isa, I'm glad that you're here as a baller. We were talking about predictions the other day, and I was saying to Nathan and Anthony here that it's not fair that we give the description or explanation of what a prediction is. So you're a baller. When your baller friends say we make predictions, define predictions so we can clarify that.
What's this now?
If you understand my meaning, predictions. Your model makes predictions, right?
Yeah.
Rumpus couldn't do that.
We debunked that.
Hold on. Isa, you're saying yes.
Talking to Rumpus.
Yeah, but you're saying yes. Mine makes predictions. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is what I'm saying. The other day, we were defining what a prediction is, yes? And I was saying, well, it's not very fair that flat earthers define predictions for fence sitters and just, you know, the general public, they're going to want to hear it from a baller. Okay.
I'm gonna predict I'll write a song about you. We're good at predictions over here. Let's go. So wait, what's the question now?
Well, your model's supposed to be able to do predictions. So first of all, let's have a look at your model. Let's have a little look at it, shall we?
Oh, certainly. Let us. Do I got to put my camera on or what?
Just to let you know, we are humouring you.
That's your model.
Models are pseudoscience and prove nothing. But we'll humour you. Let's have a little look at your model.
Let's see. Well, what about it? What do you want to know about it?
Well, we want to know about the prediction, the power of predictions, the predictors' capabilities, where Rumpus went wrong or went right, in your opinion. Was Anthony justified to withhold the information? As a baller, would you have needed what Rumpus needed, or would you have been able to make those predictions without being given, you know, precisely the location and time and date and all those things?
Well, I think, I think if you're looking to Rumpus to show the veracity of our model, I think you may be starting in the wrong direction. However, I think if you note the, all of the different experiments that we have as a collective body, throughout history, I think you'll easily come to find the experiments you're looking for. Like, what in particular? You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're looking at the model that we have now. It's like, we have it based as from the estimates of what we have from our datum sets. And, I think the best representation of our model is Google Earth at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think if we understand how, let's say we have the stars mapped out in programs like Stellarium, mm-hmm. and this is all based off of the science that we have, that we deduced before, let's say, the moon landing, where America, the greatest nation to ever exist, because we proved Kepler, Galileo, and Newton
just before you go off track, Issa, yes. So which one of those two models, Stellarium or Google Earth, can we see a pressurized system next to a vacuum? Which one should I have a look at for that? For what? To prove what, though? Because that pressurized system is based on the notion that the density of the air, right? Don't need a description. I just need to know which of those two models you mentioned I should best look at to get that information from that model of Earth. And that model does require a gas pressure system next to a non-pressure system, right?
I don't know if the model. Well, I think if you're looking at a model on Google Earth, it maybe isn't going to have that type of. And actually, why
not?
They
doesn't space?
No, hey, bro, I agree.
Is it not in space then? Is that model not set in space? It's not a ball in space then, no?
Yeah, no, it is set in ball in space. But the idea also is that because it's not like, the idea is that if there isn't a barrier, right? Then the idea is that
I'm just a bit confused, Issa. Should I be looking at Stellarium then?
No, I don't think that these things have been calculated into the programs. I think they should be.
Is that not part of your model? The gas pressure system next to a vacuum, is that not part of your model?
Oh no, it is.
So why isn't it on the model?
Because I don't think that's what people are using those applications.
Yeah, but Issa, this is the problem though. When you say we have a working model that makes predictions, and then you say, we should have this, we ain't got, it's like, well, what are you talking about? Do you have a fully working model?
Well, no, but that's like me, that's like telling me, like, if I write a song, you're like, you should have done the solo over here and not over here, like,
No, it's not. It's like me saying, let's listen to your song, and you play a tape, and there's nothing on it, and you go, well, that's part of a different tape. What you want?
Look, hold on one second. In regards to the specific programs mentioned, what I'm trying to say is that those programs, I don't think, have calculated in them that gas pressure system. Now, maybe a program like, let's say, Kerbal does. I don't know.
No. This is really annoying, right? I'm asking a baller, as you are, right, about a working model. Okay, so Nathan and Anthony, they're asking you, well, is Solarium a working model? And then you're saying, well, no, yes, no, yes, no.
For
Where
what
is
purpose, bro?
Seeing the Earth as a ball in space.
Right, but for like, and I agree with you. But my thing is that it's about seeing stars, seeing the Earth in space, but it isn't about the gas pressurized system. And
That's
all
what space.
would have
Hold
to do
on,
probably
sorry.
is
What is
add
space then if it's
software.
not a vacuum?
Dude, they could
What
up-
is space
hold on,
then,
check it like
Issa?
this.
So what is
How about
space
this?
then?
If we wrote them, if you
Is
wrote
space
them a
just
letter
is
saying,
space
hey,
just
could you
black?
add this? I'm
Sorry,
fascinated
I
with
just need to
gas
tie this
pressure.
down, Issa. On Google Earth, is space according to you just the black bit? Because as I understood it, space is a vacuum in your nonsense world of spinning ball Earth.
Well, the idea is that there is a dissipation.
Yeah.
Versus a
and which
seal.
model do we see that on?
All of them, I would imagine, but it's not replicated to your satisfaction, in my opinion.
Replicated in any way, shape, or form on Google Earth or Stellarium, the two models you've mentioned.
I don't look. What I'm saying is that I don't think they put that information in the program.
Well, that's pretty important information given that the Earth is supposed to be in space, which is a vacuum, and it's presented as such with just black. So, in other words, they just say the colour black or the absence of light, that represents a vacuum,
I think,
does it?
Here's
We just
my
have
thing
to
is that
accept that
I think like this.
based
Instead of
on
it
your
being
explanations.
Check this out. Check this out. In those, because they're computer programs, and that's all that those things are, right? Essentially, the idea is that I would say you could most likely request for them to model as a part of their system those aspects of the Earth.
Well, I'm probably going to get kicked off for swearing in a minute or something. Isa, I'm talking about a working model, You keep on talking about something that is half working, nearly working, almost working. They should add this. Do you have a working heliocentric model that makes?
Hold on. That's like saying, hold on, dude. It's like saying
it has to include all the.
Do you know how?
physics
Hold
to
on.
work.
Do you understand how mysterious nature is?
That's a good one.
Hold on. Yeah. No. I'm being dead serious about this.
No,
the
you
idea
just have to include all the physics, and you can even imagine
Listen,
gravitational pull is going to work. You have to all calculate that in and make it work.
Look.
So we have a working model. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of maps.
Bro, it's like there's so many levels to the model. The point is, should it have seagulls in it too, Arwin?
No, that's not necessary
for
the physical setup.
To you, hold on, no. To you, it's not necessary,
Arwin.
Critical to me, I've got it. Yeah, I got it.
Work like a ball.
When does it end? Is my point, Arwin.
You realize
that the people who listen, bro, the people who have made the programs.
Physics. There's where.
Hold on. Listen
gravity,
to what I'm saying.
Gas pressure.
Listen to me 1 second, dude.
Optics.
Listen to what I'm saying. Not
living things.
Arwin, please try to hear what I'm saying, not what you think I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. Really, really annoying.
No. What I'm saying is that this.
Yes,
people
yes,
who made,
it is.
And dude, please. But the thing is like this: that the programs that were made to replicate these things may have not included that information that you are asking to be included. And I think the way to address that. Hold on one second.
Then it's not a model.
You're right, Arwin.
It's a those bastards. Of maps.
Those bastards. Where are the seagulls? Yo, the thing is like this, bro. What I'm saying is that if you wrote a letter maybe to those people and said, hey, could you add gas pressure to your model, it would be great because it would help us over here because it's a really interesting point of conversation.
So let me get this right. Me as a YouTuber, I should approach Google Earth and say, why is it that you haven't modeled a very critical part of how Earth is supposed to be in space? Please, can you model this? Even though you've had 2,000 years of acceptance of this complete and utter nonsense, please, can you pay attention to me, a YouTuber, in regards to your total lack of Earth with a pressurized system being next to a vacuum, which is the black bit in your program? I should approach them and ask them that, should I?
I think so. If you're so concerned about it, you've done this many shows regarding.
No, I just say it's not there and it's nonsense. I just say it's rubbish and it's unproven and there's no science to back it up, and that's all I need to do.
Hey, look, I, and to each his own. But my point is that if one was concerned with the programs mentioned, then I would just, the computer programs mentioned, I would just say, hey, could you add this information?
Okay, I mean, you use that example. Maybe we're being a bit unfair to Google Earth, which obviously isn't a model of Earth. Let's be fair. So, what is the model that has this shown?
Well, I would think that those models are just models.
I can
Sorry,
tell you
models.
exactly-
Are we talking plural now? We're talking more than one. So you don't have a working globe model.
Well, you have different datum sets. You have all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
that they do. I think they have a rough estimate of what the way that this thing is built and the way it is. They don't have complete datum sets, so therefore they can't have it all mapped out. But the point is, and that the point is that because we've all agreed to, let's say, we don't necessarily include NASA or any of these, the visual images from out there because of what we know about computers can do. The idea is that I'm just trying to say that these things and these programs have deduced this information and have added what they can to it to best represent what most people are interested in about Earth or in the stars. Now, if they were made, if they understood,
globe shape.
if they understood that there was somebody out there who wanted to know about gas pressures and wanted to see it and even wanted to, see electromagnetic fields, maybe.
It would be kind of nice to see it proven.
I agree, bro. It's beautiful
that actually
stuff.
works that the way it's supposed to. But
Dude,
I know
the Earth-
exactly they have done this. I'm absolutely 100% sure that they have done this, at least in the last 60 years on computer emulators. It's not that hard, really. It really isn't. But I think that it pretty much came down to that either in their simulation run, the atmosphere would exist for approximately 2 minutes after being completely dissipated, or they'd have to enhance gravity so much that it would overreach, and then the moon would crash into the Earth, and the Earth would crash into the sun. So they'd have to remove everything else except Earth to make that work, in a sense. So I think that no matter what they tried, they could not get it working because it can't work.
So earlier in the
tried to
chat, we had
monitor
Sly.
the whole-
Sorry, so just to point this out, we had Sly Sparkane saying, "You flat earthers, where's your model?" Right. So I assume that models are very, very important to you guys, right? So one of the key details of the heliocentric system is that space is a vacuum. Are you telling me you don't have a model for this?
They
What I'm
can simulate
No,
it.
what I'm trying to say
Because
is
it
that
doesn't work. Either the air is slipping out, is slip out very, very quickly. It's not gonna lay down there for thousands of years, or let alone billions.
This is the whole
Just
point.
a couple of minutes, or everything's going to crash into each other. That's
we're
what's
trying
going
to
to
find
happen
out,
if you try to emulate it.
Well, we're trying to find out, this whole prediction, because now we're seeing in the chat different versions of the model. He's give a good explanation, actually. Different aspects of the world explain different things, but I think we're just talking about the heliocentric model. What predictions do they make, and what do you mean when you say predictions?
Can I ask one question?
Oh, you're allowed.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
They make predictions on the Ball Earth model, right?
Nope.
Why do they
What's
always
that?
get the weather wrong? And that's like a prediction, right? Why do they always get the weather wrong?
What do you mean the weather wrong? They always got the temperature right wherever I am.
I just want to.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
not
just
always
want
wrong.
They can't predict sunshine. They can't predict snow. They can predict rain.
Well, I don't know. They're pretty good, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Better.
Oh, I would say they're pretty good.
well, I mean, it's like it's the weather, bro. You know what I mean?
Prediction,
it
though, right?
sucked. Predictions of weather in the 80s kind of sucked. They could be a week off or whatever.
Nah,
These days, they're
predictions
pretty
now
pretty
suck.
damn accurate.
Not
Nah,
really.
predictions
No,
is just the weather right now.
don't
So
use maps. They just use other things. So yeah, I don't know exactly how that works, but it's a pretty intricate system.
yeah, Mark, I said they can't predict snow. They always get the snow predictions wrong in England. It always rains. They say we're going to
Well, no,
get
at least
6 inches, and we get
no,
none.
they're honest. They have percentages.
So now predictions are not to do with the dependent variable. This is weather.
How about this? As regarding the weather, you know what I mean? There's predictions with percentages. It's just that's how it is.
No, but why are we talking about weather when we're talking about predictions?
Well, I
That's
mean,
that's not what a prediction
that's
is.
that's what your man Riley brought up.
Yeah.
I was going to ask what I mean. Weather is not predictions when it comes to the model. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the ability to make
That's
predictions,
between
right? They can't even get the weather right.
y'all. That's
it's,
between you two.
it's a prediction of the temperature and airflow.
Yeah, if they can't get the weather right, what makes you think they can predict anything else?
Yeah, but they can.
No, but what is
They
predictions?
can't. They don't get the weather right in England.
Predictions have nothing to do with.
That's because
the weather.
England is special when it comes to weather.
Riley,
Some
you're
regions are more unpredictable than others.
Well,
I
I'm
can
pretty
tell
certain
you
all
that
the
in
English people
California,
realize
it's
that
going to
the
be
weather
sunny
predictors
and
are
hot.
naps.
Okay. You know,
So I
it's
just want to
always
make this
sunny
point
and hot
again.
there.
So we don't have a model for this vacuum of space. So Sly in the chat is saying still waiting on your flat Earth model. He presumably will discount flat Earth completely because there's no model.
Well,
I'm just want to point out that if we don't have a model of a vacuum of space next to a pressurized system, does that mean we can just completely disregard that idea and that notion that is totally unproven?
Well, I would say yes, unless they can show that.
The only thing ballers really got on their side are how the globe of the heavens seems to respond. It is just the map layout that is on their side, sort of. The maps, layouts, that kind of thing is on their side. And that's
I'll ask again for the 1000th time is what Sly Sparkane is saying for a flat Earth model. So I'll say it again. Where is the model of a pressurized system next to a vacuum, Sly? I look forward to you joining and presenting it. Otherwise, you can understand, I assume, why we completely disregard this notion, as you don't have a model of it, and there is no scientific proof of it. It is simply something you assert without anything whatsoever to back it up.
Semantically, you have to say, like there is... See, the thing is, there is a model, but that model that we have, it's access to everyone regarding Google Earth and stuff like that, just has failed. Has not up in.
You have a concept.
Hold on, bro. Hold on,
concept, not a model.
Dude, isn't a model a concept, Darwin?
No.
But does it have the gas pressurized system next to a vacuum?
Did you just hold on, or did I just deny
that not
reality?
part of your model?
Like a model?
Is that not part of your model?
Is a concept. First off, let's just be honest about a couple things. A model is a concept, and the point is that because there is
a model is something that is used when there is a limitation on the hypothesis. In other words, when you need to branch into pseudoscience because you can't prove the thing that you are asserting, that's when you need a model. And in this instance, you can't prove that there's a pressurized system next to a vacuum, and you can't even model it. So it's like about as disingenuous as it gets. There's no proof of this whatsoever, and your models don't model it. Therefore, it is total and utter nonsense. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for joining this debate and making it possible. And of course, a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!